you for being here. Erin and I are really excited about this, about getting the nursery program up and running again. And so today we're going to, those of you who are here said you're interested in being a caregiver in the nursery. And so we're going to go over the procedures for that today. So just a little bit of an introduction about the goal of our nursery program. It's threefold. One, to grow and support the spiritual growth of our core members. So making sure that for families, that they have the opportunity to be in the church service, even if they have infants, but also providing places of service for people in the core, such as the nursery, to minister to our youngest members. Two, to reach out to our lodge residents. We know that many of the women and families who come through there have very small children, so this makes it more easy for them to come to our church, and to be a viable option for young families looking for a new church home. So our agenda today, we're going to be going over opening and closing the nursery, check-in, check-out procedures, supervision, teaching, coverage, and caregiver communication. So we'll outline things on here. If you want to follow along in your handbook, you may, but you certainly don't have to if it's helpful. Throughout, after each section, we're going to have this slide come up that says questions, and you have a paper that's color-coded by section. So as we're going through a section, if something comes in your head, you want to ask about, you have a question about, jot it down. And then when we get to the end of the section, we'll take questions to clarify anything that's uncertain or maybe something that we didn't cover with the nursery. So as we go through this, keep in mind that it's hard to think about going through all of this information and envisioning it with the current nursery situation we have, we have 2 to 4 babies at a time. And so you might be thinking in the back of your head, well, doesn't this seem a little like overkill? Is this really necessary? We all know each other. But we want to be able to create a program that can grow over time, and that if we have an influx of new families, that we're following safe protocols and best practices for them. So let's begin. So opening and closing the nursery. Prep and opening. So if you are assigned to work during the nursery, currently we're only doing the nursery during the service, so from 11 to about 12:30. Please arrive 15 minutes before nursery begins. Check for printed materials. We're going to have a binder that will have various materials you'll need, such as registration forms, information for parents. So make sure that those materials are there, that we have enough. Review current registration forms. So because you'll only be serving about every 6 weeks, you might be unfamiliar with who is currently being served in the nursery. So just make sure that you are aware of who may be coming and what their ages are, what their needs are. Check for cleaning supplies. We're going to take a tour of the nursery after this, and we'll make sure that you know where those items are. Adorn a smock. We're currently working on this. Our current ELC caregivers wear one to protect their clothing, to make sure that if you have any jewelry, because you're going to be wearing your Sunday best or your uniform, that you don't get any spit up or worse on you. And we're currently working on getting those, right? So we might not have them this coming Sunday, because our hope is to start the 29th. So, but that's to happen. And use the restroom before you begin because of our supervision rules of 2. So we always need to have 2 caregivers in there at a time. Cleanup and closing. Just so you know, parents are required to pick up children immediately after the service is ended, which we know can vary. Hand-completed nursery notes to parents as they check out their children. We'll go over this in a little bit. And then after children are gone, this is where we tidy up and clean up. So wipe off tabletops, changing table, and toys that were used. And the 3-step cleaning steps are to clean with a soap solution, rinse with clean water, dry with a paper towel, spray a bleach solution, air dry, and then dry with a paper towel. And we'll have all of these things. It's a lot of information for you to reference. That's why you have your handbook. And we'll also have checklist reminders in here that you can reference the day of. In addition to cleaning areas, storing toys in their proper location, placing smocks and used linens in the laundry hamper, and putting new sheets on used cribs, washing and sanitizing your hands, and then if there was an incident, to report it to nursery team lead, which is me. So I'll be checking in with you throughout, and Erin has also has certainly helped through this process in doing the research and helping us figure out what kind of system we need to put in place for this to be successful. And then turning off lights, closing the door. To check in and check out. So, registration. A registration form must be filled out for every child. So, of course, they only have to fill it out once, and then you would file it away in the nursery binder. And you do have a copy of what it looks like on your table. We do need to record their driver's license number in the case that there were a parent to abandon their child and just leave. So, although it's unlikely, we do want to do that just for protocol, for safety. Next, just verify, check to see if their license address matches their listed address. On the first Sunday of each month, parents will be asked if their registration needs updating, especially working with 0 to 2 ages. They're developing quickly. And so, of course, if a parent lets you know of changes, you can make changes to the registration card. But on the first Sunday, we're going to ask that you just go ahead and check with them. Is there anything that needs to change for the care of your child? Check-in procedure. So you'll review the registration form with the parent. If child is new, they'll fill out the registration form. Place a disposable name tag on the back of each child, and also include the parent's full name as well, as they might be someone new and you might not remember who they are, so when they come to pick up their child. Have parents fill out the check-in sheet and write their phone number. You don't have a copy of that, but it'll be included as part of the binder. It is important that their phone number is the one that they'll have with them. So a cell phone that they'll have on them. If they don't have a cell phone, we will note that Mary has volunteered to be our nursery text person, that if we weren't able to get hold of the person in the service, that we could contact Mary and she would track them down for us. Place diaper bag in designated area. There's a shelf and some cubbies in there that you'll get to see in a moment. Checkout procedure. Parents are required to check out their children immediately after the service is ended. Only legal adults 18 years or older listed on their registration form may check out the children. Have parents sign out their children. And hand-completed nursery notes to the parents, and we're about to go over those. As far as diaper bags, when parents register for the first time, we'll have a handout that goes over nursery policies, like what you should have in your diaper bag, or sickness policy and communication policy, what if we need to contact you during the service. And so with the diaper bags, things need to be clearly labeled. With only 2 babies in there at a time, we know that you should be able to keep them separate, you know whose is whose. All right, so we're going to move on to supervision. Talk briefly about this because as it pertains to our Keep Safe training that you did last week. If there were to be more kids, so say there were 9 children, that we'd assign a 3rd nursery caregiver, and I would arrange that morning if that ended up being the case. So just to clarify, rule of 2 for the nursery. However, the rule of 3, meaning that you could have an adult and 2 children for the older age kids, 3 up and up as well.
Does not apply for 0 to 2.
But does not apply for 0 to 2. Reminders, pray for the children that are with you. Just remember that even at 0 to 2 that we can still minister to the infants and toddlers. Primary interaction needs to be with the children. Refrain from cell phone use unless contacting parents or for an emergency.
All 911 first in case of emergency.
Yes. Note parent directions on each child's registration and the check-in sheet. So just be familiar with the information on the child. Encourage safe play, no kicking, biting, pushing, running. Of course, we know these accidents happen, but we want to encourage safe play. Check diapers periodically, change as needed. Wash mouth toys before giving to another child. And we'd follow the cleaning procedure of clean, then rinse, and then sanitize. Use redirection when a child becomes frustrated or upset. Record biting or accidents on nursery notes and inform the nursery team lead. If you're having trouble resolving the issue or during that time, call the parents to get them back there to help you. Burp babies after bottle feeding. I didn't burp Eliza for the first 3 weeks probably because I didn't think of it. On the nursery notes, which you have a copy in front of you, you'll record bottle feedings, any other type of feedings, diaper changes, naps, mood, activities, so the parents will know what happened during that time. Communication with parents in the service. We've talked about this already a little bit, but just to review, if in the event of an emergency, behavioral concerns, sickness, inconsolable crying, you're going to text the parents using the number provided that they've given you, and you verified that we can contact you in the event of an emergency. And so an example, just let them know you're from the nursery, child's name, the issue, please come. If parent does not respond, so within 2 minutes they haven't texted you back or if they've not shown up, we want to make sure that we are contacting someone else. So that's when you'd contact Mary, and she would find the person and then send them back. If Mary didn't respond, then you'd text me, and so we'll have some other numbers there to get you in contact with so we can reach the parents. If they still don't respond, for some reason they're like, I'm not going back there, this is my babysitting service, I'm not going back there, I'm staying in service. If that were to happen, because maybe it does, then we're just, or maybe we just couldn't reach them, we're going to have a conversation with the parent afterwards just to see what the problem was, because there could have been a miscommunication. Maybe they left the building temporarily for some reason and we couldn't find them. So just clarify whatever the reason was, and just mention that if this were to happen again, just for liability reasons, the safety of your child, we wouldn't be able to keep your child back here in the nursery. Visitors and familiar faces. No individuals other than on-duty nursery caregivers may be allowed in the nursery without the following exceptions. So brief tours for first-time families, breastfeeding mothers, unless I give permission for whatever reason. But we want to make sure, just for safety, that only the on-duty nursery caregivers are in there with the children. So that means that you meet them at the door and take care of registration forms there. Please remind parents to remain outside the nursery at the door during check-in and check-out, and this includes off-duty nursery caregivers, to make sure that they just follow that protocol so it remains consistent for everyone involved. Underage third helpers. Nursery-trained legal minors, 14 to 17, may assist with promotion of nursery team lead. So if we had an excess number of people, that we could enlist someone who is a legal minor but also nursery trained to assist. Only used to meet ratio requirements, so we're not going to have a legal adult 18-year-old or paired with an underage minor. No youth will serve more than once a month in the nursery. If this were to happen, we want to make sure that they are involved in the service, that they're not always helping with other programs. Almost done. The next sections are much shorter. Teaching. I'll provide materials and curriculum for your review at the beginning of each month. We're going to be using new curriculum called Orange, which is supposed to be, it's being used in the South right now as their new Sunday school curriculum. It's taking the place of Word Action. And from what I hear, it's supposed to be national this summer. But they have a really great preschool and baby curriculum called First Look, and they have 3 main objectives that all of their activities center around. God made me, God loves me, Jesus wants to be my friend forever. And so the activities that you can do are very simple. It doesn't require, really a lot of planning. So for the babies, there's a peekaboo activity that you can do with them. So it just gives you some ideas that you can do with the children to minister to them and let them know that Jesus loves them. Coverage and caregiver communication. So the length of the commitment is during the school year, you might say, from the fall until the summer. And you'd serve about once every 6 Sundays, 8 to 9 times per year. A calendar will be released every 3 months. One for the fall, winter, spring, and summer. And each season's calendar will be made a full month in advance. So for next Sunday, Aaron and Ellen Allen have agreed to do the nursery then, and this next coming week I'll be making a calendar for February, March, and April. So typically what would happen is the month beforehand I'm going to send out an email and ask you, do you have any conflicts? Are there days that you're unavailable? So I don't schedule you then. If we release the schedule and you realize that you have a Sunday that you're unavailable, maybe something came up suddenly, or you just missed something when you are getting your dates to me, then we're going to ask that you contact another caregiver. We're going to give you the calendar. Either ask them to sub for you or ask to swap dates with you. And then once you have that arranged, you're going to let me know through email or phone call. And of course, if it's 72 hours before Sunday morning, give me a call, make sure that you get in contact with me that way. Though I do check my email all the time. Questions about how the calendar works and coverage? Right. So this is the nursery space for infants and toddlers that the ELC uses. And unfortunately, we haven't just used it in quite some time, so we're going to be using it again. So there's the play area. There's also crib spaces if a child needs to sleep. So some things I want to just go over are where you put diaper bags. Oh, you're still waiting.
I don't actually.
All right. So when you check in the children, you can put diaper bags on the shelf over here or in the cubbies or on top, but want to keep it in a central area. Laundry, dirty linens. If you have a child that is supposed to take a nap, you can use these cribs. The linens are clean, but after you use a crib, at the end, you make sure to take off the crib sheet, and you then put it in the dirty laundry basket, which at this time is in the bathroom. We're hoping that this will be cleaned out, so it's only a bathroom, but currently it's not. Oh, it's been cleaned out a little bit. Yay! Good. So there's the restroom here. The dirty laundry hamper is here. You'd also put your smocks there as well whenever we get those and make those available to you. And then here, there's 2 closets. One's labeled DC for daycare, and one is SS for Sunday school. They're currently both being used by the daycare. But in here they're planning to clean and reorganize these closets. But in here on the bottom shelf, you'll find crib sheets, clean linens. So after, if there was one that was used, you take it off, put it in the dirty hamper, and replace with a clean one. In here, it's currently not usable. Well, they might have cleaned it out. But last time I checked, it was full with toys. So just, you can keep it closed. There's nothing in there for you to use in there. Here's the changing pad. If families have a changing pad in their diaper bag, go ahead and lay it out so it'll make cleanup easier for them, for you. But the cleaning supplies are above the sink. It's even labeled cleaning supplies. And there are various bottles labeled soap and water for your cleaning, so you'd spray and wipe down. There's also just water for rinsing, and there's also one that says toys, toys, food surfaces, for that has a bleach solution in there, so that you could disinfect. So that's where the cleaning supplies are located, and that's primarily the information you need to know just as far as the dirty linens and cleaning and where to put diaper bags as well. Any questions? Jerry?
So when we come in, or when whomever comes in on Sunday, we can assume that the toys and things are clean or okay?
Yes.
We don't have to start out doing
Right, correct. But we do want to make sure, just monitor the children, especially the babies, because they're going to be putting things in their mouths, that they're not passing them off to other children, and that we're cleaning them before they get put away. Yes, Ashley?
So where would the clean linen be for the critters?
They're right in this closet.
Okay.
So they're on the shelf. It's a little messy, but you'll be able to find them. They're right in front.
Do you clean the mattresses before you put them?
I don't
Dishes
believe
on
so. I guess unless there was a terrible mess, then you'd have to. But anything else? Any other questions? All right, well, thank you so much for being here and your willingness to serve in this way.